So I should tell you, I don't have a Twitter account. I've only looked at Facebook once. Every time a match on Skype or go on to Wimba, I break into a cold sweat. Even at the university, where I facilitate a course out there in social enterprise, when I plug in my USB, I get nervous. If you look at my inbox, protecting my office, constantly brandishing me for taking up too much space on what's the word for it? Anyway. And then there are the questions around running the CF.ca website, which is something that my organization both manages. So they ask questions like, can you run a website from the URL of and only if, what the hell is really, what does all that mean? And what are you talking about Flickr and what was that, Cover Dash or whatever? I don't know. So can we blog inside what is all that stuff? So my 81-year-old mother sent an email last night. She asked my 9-year-old if she could friend her. My third point about wiring the social economy sounds like an oxymoron. Well, the idea of using technology to create community sounds bizarre to me. My 11-year-old is quite a reserved child. She rarely gets out on play dates and has challenges socially. I decided to orchestrate a sleepover with a couple of other girls my daughters could have a play date recently. Basically, I was helping create a community for my eldest. Wouldn't it be nice to see her playing and talking with friends? Hopefully, this would catalyze some typical arrangement. I watched the 4 kids under 12 picked up their iTouches. Then they spent the rest of the evening playing with their handheld devices. On a rare occasion, their computers talk to one another. But I did not really see anyone talking to each other. How sad, I thought. We may be building a virtual community, but is this a strong foundation to build solidarity and to tackle the injustice that it creates the haves and have-nots in our communities? As I was talking to another wise tech-savvy guy at my office the other day, he reminded me that technology can be effective if it is used to mobilize people. But when people get used to using it as a means to communicate about mobilization, then that starts to become a problem. So when I see the wiring the social economy, when I see the title Wiring the Social Economy, I question if that is what we really should be focusing on. The sexiness of the devices and the platforms. I can't believe I just said that. Anyways, I hope we get that in the right context. So, anyway, on to community economic development. And for me, community economic development is part and parcel of social enterprise and social economy and all that stuff. So, I am not an expert on the subject, but I'll add some thoughts. So, although there is a wide spectrum of what people call community economic development, for me, CED is about an orientation practice in which it is linked to earlier community organizing efforts of the 60s and 70s. But even before then, in the development of movements like the Desjardins movement, which came out of the French being excluded from banks in Quebec more than 100 years ago. These efforts attempted to build democratic, non-hierarchical structures to promote social change in both community and individual empowerment. CED involves ongoing action, reflection, evaluation, and action. CED implies the triple or equal bottom line, where success is measured by not just the economic outcomes, but also, and equally important, the social, the cultural, and the environmental ones. CED involves us questioning, are we having a positive social and economic impact on the community? And if not, doing something about it. For me, the work of Michael Black and Donald Basin resonate. They state, community economic development seeks to change the structure of the community and build permanent institutions within its community. As a result, the community begins to play a more active role vis-a-vis the institutions outside the community, and the residents of the community become more active in the control of the community resources. The starting premise of CED is that communities that are poor and underdeveloped remain that condition because they lack ownership over their own resources. Essentially, CED is about consumers becoming producers, users becoming providers, employees becoming the owners of the enterprise or the institutions. CED is about addressing the systemic barriers that keep people out of the mainstream. CED is about the effect of neoliberal globalization, which creates an ever-widening chasm between haves and have-nots. CED is about me sitting in my office every day on the corner of Main and Hastings Street and seeing more than 250 people come in each day looking for work, many homeless, many without families nearby, and many broken. But CED is also about seeing the strength in those people and the capacity. CED is always questioning how it's possible to live in such a wealthy city as this one and have this kind of division. CED is about supporting the work of the democratically elected downtown Seaside Residents Council, who are defining for themselves what the community should look like and why they should be part of it. CED is about ensuring that we all benefit from the community and economic development. And in the words of Wendy Peterson from the Carnegie Community Action Project, it's not merely accepting crumbs. CED is working with, not looking for. CED is citizens, not clients. CED is about ensuring that the word community does not get dropped when the city starts talking about benefits as in the community benefits agreement. CED is about ensuring that the people most affected by development have an opportunity to voice their concerns and have them heard. And CED is about creating alliances and together having a stronger voice so that we can mobilize more democratically controlled assets within our communities that address the root causes of poverty and alienation. So I'll get off my pedestal here, but when I was living in Montreal, before I came here, I lived in Montreal, and I was involved in the startup of the Montreal Community Loan Association. So as a community, we all came together, and we noticed that there were a lot of people in our neighborhood that had ideas and projects, and then there were other people in the community that had the resources. So we identified youth, single mothers, unemployed people, new immigrants and refugees, had great ideas about because of systemic barriers and discrimination, they weren't able to access capital to develop some of those ideas. There was also people in the community that had the resources and had the money to get those projects going. So the community itself created this revolving loan fund based on some models from the state. And in every aspect of that loan fund, we had representing on all the committees, whether it was the technical assistance committee, whether it was the loan committee, whether it was the finance committee or the board. We had people that represented both the community sector, the social side, and the business side. And there were tensions that often happened, but good work came out of that. So one of the very first projects we funded was with a group of women who had, at that time, 20 years ago, so they had developed a diaper cover so that this is during the days of disposable diapers. So they had this diaper cover so that people would use off diapers. No one wanted to fund the project. When they went off, they wrote these women on welfare. When they went to the bank said, well, let's get your husbands to sign the loan for you. And that was just 20 years ago. Didn't have husbands to do that. So we created a loan fund. 20 years later, that group of women has now got 50 people working for them. Many of those people had been people that had been excluded, not part of the community. They're also bringing in revenues of several $1 million. And they're providing technical assistance to other social enterprises that want to do the same kind of thing. There were also many of the organizations that we funded also invested in the loan fund. I myself still have money invested in that loan fund because I really, really believe in what they're all about. So for me, the words of one of my favorite people, Eric Schrag, in his words, CED is a process that involves changing power relations between individuals and groups and social institutions. At the same time, it's a process of personal changes. And as individuals take action on their own behalf and redefine their understanding of their world in which they live. Self-possession moves from victim to agent as people are able to act in the political and the social arena and pursue their own interests. When CD becomes a means of promoting social change rather than building small-scale local capitalism, then it should come as no surprise that the funding is not easy to come by and we start to rub people the wrong way. CED is about ensuring that those people of privilege, and I include myself among them, that we support both financially and in solidarity the work that we are, and that we can constantly question whether we are really being true to our values of creating a just and sustainable society for all. For me, this means knowing when to lead and knowing when to follow. If we can use the powers of the wire to get the message out, that we do not like the widening gap between the rich and poor, the haves and have-nots, the formally educated, the non-formally educated, the healthy and the sick, the homeless, tech-savvy and technologically illiterate, we might have a chance to have a positive social and economic impact on communities for those people starve without a voice. If that is the case, then the wiring of the social economy could be great. But like so many other things, our virtual communities and our sexy devices can too become co-opted for their sleekness. Thank you. Is that my iPhone?